Now, I've got Colin here, is that right?
That is correct.
Splendid, that's a happy relief. And now, this is an interesting thing. This case that you've brought today, which is about a lodger over there, where is it? What part of England?
It's in Brighton.
It's in Brighton. This is an unusual thing. What's your name, sir?
Brighton.
Brighton? Goodness me. Did you name yourself after the city because you thought the city deserved to have your name, or what was it that inspired you to call yourself Brighton?
I didn't call myself Brighton. It's a very common name where I come from.
I've met a London, and I met a woman once called Cleethorpes, but that's a story for another time. Now, Colin, Brighton, this is, on the face of it, a rather straightforward matter. Colin, as I understand it, you rented a room to Brighton, who became your lodger.
Correct.
And after some time, you determined that he did not satisfy the agreement that you had, for reasons which you're going to explain to me. And for reasons which I'll listen to, do you understand? And so you decided that Brighton should be no more and he should go and be in another part of Brighton. So you said, Brighton, go to some other part of Brighton. Correct?
Correct.
And you say that he left that room in an unsatisfactory state. And very simply, you want your money for the repairs, in effect. Brighton, in reply, you say three things. First of all, you weren't given sufficient notice.
None at all.
And yes, I know. Had you been given sufficient notice, you would have made any repairs or tidied up. Secondly, as far as you're concerned, you paid the relevant rent in any event.
Yes.
And lastly, you say, which is the real substance of your counterclaim, that he's kept some of your property. And he's kept that property ransom until he says you pay him the £300 you owe him. So you have a counterclaim which is for goods and items left at Colin's address, correct?
Yes.
When did Brighton first move into your house, Colin?
I believe that was September 2014.
Have you ever rented any other parts of your property out to other people before?
There are two spare rooms and the other room has been rented out.
When the lodgers move in, do you give them anything in writing normally?
Not unless they ask. I do have an agreement. If they request it, they can have one.
Now, this is a thing people may not understand. There's a difference between a short-hold tenancy agreement and somebody who's a lodger. Amongst other things, you're allowed to go into their bedroom. Did you used to do that before you rented the room to Brighton with other people that lodged in your house?
I would only go in if I suspected something wasn't quite right.
What do you mean something wasn't right? Do you mean they were sort of running some sort of cottage industry in there?
Well, it was a house, not a cottage, but I mean, in this instance, there was a smell coming from the room, so I had to investigate.
How long did you live at Colin's address before there was a problem?
September till about May.
Splendid. And the agreement was how much a month, please, Colin?
300.
£300. Did you take a deposit as well?
300 deposit.
What was the room like when you first moved into it, Brighton?
Very basic. We had a wardrobe on the side, a nice old rug on the floor.
Was there any mess? What was the quality of the room? Was it pleasant?
It was pleasant, yeah. It wasn't a mess at all. But that's because no one was living in it.
Yeah, that'll happen if nobody's living in it. So, you'd had a previous lodger and then Brighton moved in. Now, for the first few months, what sort of lodger was Brighton? Was he good?
Yeah, no problem. We used to chat on a regular basis.
Now, Brighton, you were working at the time, correct?
Yes, I've always been working. I didn't always have time to look after the room.
Yes, well, I understand that. There's a fine line between not looking after the bedroom and what happened here. What happened here, Colin?
There was a bit of a smell.
What sort of smell?
Rancid. So I used my key. They all had the keys to lock the door. I went in and...
Just out of it, did you have permission to go into the bedroom?
Because it's my house, I don't need to.
If he would have mentioned that, then I would have never moved in there.
When I'm talking, you're...
That's fine, Your Honour.
Let me explain to you. There is a difference between being a tenant and being a licensee. And in this instance, all you have is a licence to live in his house. So he can come in if he smells something. What did you smell? You said it was rancid.
There was rubbish, there was dirty laundry, there was... well... It was unreal. It looked like a lorry had just dumped a whole load of waste into a room. The other lodger happened to be there at the time.
I think Stuart has provided with a statement. I'm going to read that statement.
OK.
My name is Stuart and I was lodging with Colin at the same time as Brighton. I witnessed the state of Brighton's room. Ready for this? Crossing your arms, put them down by your sides. I think you need to hear this. You wouldn't believe anyone would have lived there.
'Cause I
There were
didn't.
talking. There were pizza boxes everywhere. I would have been ashamed to have left my room like Brighton had. It was a disgrace. And he describes you as a fair landlord and that he's never had a problem with you. For more Judge Rinder cases, click here. And if you've got a legal issue yourself, get in touch with us by clicking over here.